Victoria Hartwell couldn't breathe. The 52-year-old CEO of Hartwell Industries, one of the most powerful women in the country, Forbes 50, net worth $2.3 billion, was on her knees on the marble floor of her 47th floor corner office at 12:17 a.m. on Christmas Eve. Her left arm was numb, chest crushing, cold sweat, vision blurring. She knew these symptoms. Her husband Marcus had described them 5 years ago, right before the heart attack that killed him. Victoria tried to reach for her phone on the desk. Her hand wouldn't cooperate. The phone slid from her grip, clattering across the floor. She collapsed. The building was empty. Everyone had gone home hours ago to be with their families. Even her assistant had left at 6 p.m. after begging Victoria to do the same. But Victoria never left early, never took holidays, never stopped working. Work was all she had left after Marcus died. And now, lying alone on the cold floor of her glass-walled office overlooking the city, Victoria Hartwell realized she was going to die exactly the way she'd been living for 5 years, alone. 47 floors below, in the basement maintenance area, Mateo Rivera was emptying his cleaning cart when he noticed something odd on his route sheet. Floor 47, CEO's office, door ajar, lights on. That wasn't right. Miss Hartwell always locked her office when she left. Always. Mateo hesitated. Janitors weren't supposed to go to the executive floors without permission, especially not immigrant janitors who couldn't afford to lose this job. But something felt wrong. Mateo took the service elevator to the 47th floor. What he found would save Victoria Hartwell's life, and change both of theirs forever.
Before we continue, if you enjoy stories that move and transform us, tales of justice, legacy, resilience, and love, consider subscribing to Becca's Stories. We showcase the beautiful perspectives that emerge from life's changes, offering narratives of profound moral strength and unwavering character. Now back to our story.
6 hours earlier, 6 p.m., Christmas Eve. Victoria Hartwell sat in her office, reviewing the final documents for the biggest acquisition of her career, $800 million, Hutchinson Manufacturing. The deal that would cement her legacy as the most successful CEO Hartwell Industries had ever had. More successful than her father, who'd founded the company and openly doubted a woman could run it. More successful than her late husband Marcus, who'd been CFO before his heart attack. More successful than her son Daniel, who'd quit the company 2 years ago after a fight about Victoria's obsession with work.
Mom, you're choosing the company over family, again.
That was the last real conversation they'd had. Victoria's assistant, Janitor, knocked on the glass door. "Ms. Hartwell, it's 6 p.m. I'm heading out. Are you planning to stay late again?" "The Hutchinson deal closes tomorrow. I need to review everything."
Tomorrow is Christmas.
"The market doesn't take holidays, Janitor." Janitor hesitated. "Ms. Hartwell, with all respect, neither do you. When was the last time you went home before midnight?" Victoria didn't answer. "When was the last time you had dinner with someone, or talked to your son, or did anything besides work?" "That's not your concern." "I know. I'm sorry, but..." Jennifer's voice softened. "It's been 5 years since Mr. Hartwell died. At some point, you have to stop running from grief and actually live again." "Thank you, Janitor. You can go now." After Janitor left, Victoria sat alone in her office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that showed the glittering city below. A city full of people celebrating Christmas with their families. While she sat alone in a tower she'd built to avoid feeling anything. Meanwhile, across town, Mateo Rivera stood in the small kitchen of his modest apartment making dinner for his 8-year-old daughter Isabel. "Papa, Mrs. Chen said I can start piano lessons in January if we can pay for them," Isabel said hopefully. Mateo looked at his daughter, the spitting image of her mother Rosa, who died 3 years ago from complications during what should have been a routine surgery. Piano lessons. $120 a month. That was nearly a week's worth of groceries. We'll see, mija. Let Papa think about it. But Mrs. Chen said I have talent. She said I could be really good. I know, baby. I know. Mateo worked 3 jobs. Day shift as a janitor at Hartwell Industries, evening shift at a restaurant washing dishes, late night shift cleaning office buildings. Combined, he made $32,000 a year, enough to keep their tiny apartment, enough for food and Isabel's school supplies. Not much else. But Isabel wanted piano lessons, and Mateo would find a way. That's why he volunteered for the triple-pay Christmas Eve shift at Hartwell Industries. Most people wanted the holiday off. Mateo needed the money. Abuela is coming to stay with you tonight while Papa works. Be good for her, okay? Will you be home for Christmas morning? My shift ends at 6 a.m. I'll be here when you wake up. I promise. Mateo hugged Isabel tight, thinking, as he did every day, about Rosa, about the hospital where she died while he was working a double shift, unable to get there in time.
He'd promised himself after losing Rosa, family comes first, always. But sometimes, keeping Isabel fed and housed meant missing time with her. The cruel irony of poverty. 12:17 a.m. Mateo stepped off the service elevator onto the 47th floor. The executive suite was dark, except for one office. Glass-walled, lights blazing, door slightly open. "Hello?" Mateo called out. "Miss Hartwell." No answer. Mateo pushed the door open carefully and saw her. Victoria Hartwell, the CEO he'd seen exactly twice in 3 years of working here, always from a distance, always too important to notice janitors, was lying on the floor, unconscious, lips turning blue. Oh mi Dios! Mateo dropped his cleaning cart and ran to her, dropping to his knees beside her. He checked for pulse. Faint. Irregular. Her breathing was shallow. Heart attack. He'd seen this before with Rosa. Mateo pulled out his phone and dialed 911 with shaking hands. 911, what's your emergency? I have a woman, maybe 50, unconscious, not breathing right. I think heart attack. Hartwell Industries building, 47th floor. Is she breathing? Barely. Do you know CPR? Mateo did. He'd taken a free CPR course at the community shelter after Rosa died, terrified that something might happen to Isabel and he wouldn't know how to save her. Yes, I know CPR. Start chest compressions. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Paramedics are 8 minutes away. Mateo positioned his hands on Victoria's chest and began compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, Miss Hartwell, stay with me. 10, 11, 12. You don't get to die on Christmas Eve, not on my watch. 28, 29, 30. Mateo tilted Victoria's head back and gave 2 rescue breaths, then started again. For 8 minutes, Mateo Rivera, invisible janitor, immigrant, man who made $32,000 a year, kept Victoria Hartwell, billionaire CEO, one of the most powerful women in the country, alive. When paramedics burst through the office door, one of them immediately took over compressions while the other set up equipment. You did good, the lead paramedic said to Mateo. Real good. How long were you doing CPR? 8 minutes, maybe 9. You saved her life. Another 2 minutes and there'd be brain damage or worse. They loaded Victoria onto a stretcher. One paramedic turned to Mateo. You coming to the hospital? You're the one who found her. They'll want a statement. I have to finish my shift. The paramedic stared at him. You just saved someone's life and you're worried about finishing your shift? I need this job. Man, I'm telling your boss you're a hero. You're coming to the hospital. In the ambulance,
Victoria's eyes fluttered open for a moment. She saw Mateo sitting beside the stretcher, still wearing his gray janitor's uniform. "Who?" she whispered. "Mateo Rivera, Miss Hartwell. I work in maintenance. I found you. You're going to be okay." Victoria's eyes closed again, but for the first time in 5 years, she wasn't alone in a crisis.
6 a.m. Christmas morning. Victoria woke up in a hospital bed, disoriented and in pain. A doctor appeared, woman in her 40s, kind face, tired eyes from a night shift. "Miss Hartwell, I'm Dr. Patel. You're at Mercy Hospital. You had a moderate heart attack around midnight. Your janitor found you and performed CPR until paramedics arrived. Without him, you'd be dead." Victoria's mind struggled to process this. Janitor? Mateo Rivera. He insisted on staying until you woke up. He's been in the waiting room for 6 hours. Why would he? Victoria stopped. She genuinely didn't understand why a janitor would wait for her. "I asked him the same thing," Dr. Patel said. "He said she almost died alone on Christmas Eve. Nobody should be alone after that. Then he asked if you had family coming. When I said no one had called or shown up, he refused to leave." Victoria felt something crack in her chest that had nothing to do with her heart attack. Can I see him?" "In a minute. First, we need to talk about what caused this." Dr. Patel sat down. "Your heart attack was stress-induced. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. Your labs show you're not eating properly. When was the last time you slept more than 4 hours?" "I don't know." "When was the last time you took a vacation?" 5 years ago. "Miss Hartwell, you're killing yourself with work. This heart attack is a warning. The next one might not be." "I can't stop working. I have a company to run." "You won't have anything to run if you're dead." After Dr. Patel left, a nurse brought Mateo into the room. He looked exhausted, still wearing his gray uniform, hair messy, but his eyes were alert, concerned. "Miss Hartwell, you're awake. Thank God. Mr. Rivera?" "Mateo, just Mateo." "You saved my life." Mateo shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention. "I did CPR. The paramedics did the real work. The doctor said you stayed all night. Why?" "Because you were alone. Nobody came. No family, no friends. Just alone." Mateo sat in the chair beside her bed, careful to maintain respectful distance. "I thought, if that was me, if I was lying in a hospital bed after almost dying, I'd want someone there, even if it was just the janitor." Victoria felt tears forming, the first tears she'd allowed herself in 5 years. "You have a daughter, don't you? I saw a photo once on your cleaning cart." Mateo looked surprised that she'd noticed that. "Isabel. She's 8. She's with her grandmother right now. I promised I'd be home when she woke up for Christmas, but..." He gestured at the hospital. "You should go. You've done more than enough." "Are you sure? You shouldn't be alone right after..." "I'm always alone, Mateo. This is nothing new." Mateo was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that changed everything. "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." Victoria looked at him, startled. "You're one of the richest, most powerful women in the city. You have a huge company. You make decisions that affect thousands of people. And you're telling me you're always alone? That's not success, Miss Hartwell. That's prison. You don't understand." "I understand grief. My wife, Rosa, died 3 years ago. Complications from surgery. I was working a double shift. I didn't get to the hospital in time." Mateo's voice cracked. "For 6 months after she died, I was like you. I worked constantly. 3 jobs, 14-hour days. Told myself I was doing it for Isabel, to provide for her. What changed? Isabel did. One night, I came home at 2 a.m. She was awake, crying. She said, 'Papa, you're gone all the time now. Like Mama. Are you going to disappear too?'
And I realized I was so focused on surviving that I'd forgotten to live. I was making money, but losing my daughter. Mateo looked directly at Victoria. You're doing the same thing. You lost your husband, so you buried yourself in work, but you're not honoring his memory. You're just running from the pain. How dare you? I'm sorry if I'm overstepping, but I just spent 8 minutes keeping you alive. I think I've earned the right to be honest. Victoria wanted to be angry, wanted to put this janitor in his place, remind him of the hierarchy, the difference between them. But she couldn't, because he was right.
6 months after Victoria's heart attack, Victoria sat in a community center auditorium, surrounded by families, watching Isabel Rivera's first piano recital. The 8-year-old girl played a simple piece, nothing fancy, still learning, but she played it with such joy and concentration that Victoria found herself tearing up. After the recital, Isabel ran to Mateo. "Papa, did you see? Did you like it?" "You were perfect, mija, perfect." Isabel noticed Victoria. "Miss Hartwell, you came." "I wouldn't miss it. You were wonderful." "Papa says you're the reason I can take lessons now, because you gave him a better job." Victoria knelt down to Isabel's level. "Actually, your papa is the reason I'm alive, so we're even." Later, Victoria, Mateo, Isabel, and Daniel, who'd flown in for the weekend, went to dinner at a modest Mexican restaurant, Mateo's favorite. "This is strange," Daniel said, smiling. 6 months ago, Mom was eating catered meals alone in her office. Now she's at a family restaurant with her janitor, head of facilities management, Mateo corrected, grinning, and genuinely enjoying herself. Victoria looked around the table. At Mateo, who'd shown her what real strength looked like. At Isabel, whose simple card had reminded her of kindness. At Daniel, whom she'd almost lost forever. "This is the best meal I've had in 5 years," Victoria said. "Really?" Isabel looked surprised. "But fancy restaurants have better food, right?" "No, sweetheart. This is better because I'm with people I care about. That makes everything taste better." After dinner, Mateo walked Victoria to her car. Not a chauffeured limo anymore, but her own modest sedan. "Thank you," Victoria said, "for everything. For saving my life, for telling me the truth, for being my friend. Thank you for listening, and for giving my daughter piano lessons. It's the least I could do." Mateo hesitated. "Can I tell you something?" "Always." "That night in your office, when I was doing CPR, I kept thinking about Rosa, about how I didn't get to save her, and I thought, if I could save you, maybe it would mean something. Maybe all the pain would have purpose." Victoria squeezed his hand. "It did. You saved me. And in doing that, you saved Daniel too. And probably a lot of other people I'll be kinder to now. That's a pretty good purpose. Rosa would have liked you. She always said rich people needed friends who tell them the truth. Smart woman. The smartest." Victoria drove home that night, thinking about how close she'd come to dying alone on a marble floor, surrounded by evidence of success that meant nothing. And how a janitor making $32,000 a year had taught her more about living than any business school or boardroom ever could. A billionaire CEO collapsed alone in her office at midnight on Christmas Eve. She could have died there, probably would have. But a janitor, invisible, immigrant, working triple shifts to buy his daughter piano lessons, found her. And didn't just save her life, he showed her how to live it. Mateo Rivera had nothing by society's standards, but he had everything by the standards that actually matter: love for his daughter, kindness for strangers, wisdom earned through grief, and the courage to tell the truth to power.
Victoria Hartwell had everything by society standards, but she had nothing by the standards that actually matter. She was alone, isolated, running from grief and working herself to death. One heart attack and one honest janitor later, Victoria learned what true wealth looks like. It looks like Tuesday lunches with a friend who used to clean your office. It looks like leaving work at 5:30 to have dinner with your son. It looks like sitting in a community center watching a child's piano recital because you care about her father. It looks like living instead of just surviving. This holiday season, maybe you're like Victoria was, successful on paper, empty in reality, building empires while your relationships crumble, running from pain by drowning in work. Or maybe you're like Mateo, struggling financially but rich in the ways that matter, working multiple jobs but still showing up for what counts. Either way, remember this. The people society calls invisible often see the most clearly, and sometimes the person cleaning your office knows more about living than any CEO ever will. Don't wait for a heart attack to figure that out.
Thank you for watching this story. If it moved you, leave a heart in the comments and share what you thought. Let us know what themes or stories you'd like to hear next. We love creating narratives that resonate with you. Subscribe to Becca's Stories for more tales of justice, legacy, resilience, and love. We showcase the beautiful perspectives that emerge from life's changes, offering narratives of profound moral strength and unwavering character. And remember, true wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the people who'd stay with you in a hospital on Christmas morning. See you in the next story.